and gentlemen, welcome back to my podcast, Live Your Best Life Every Day. My name is Stephane Dadjo, and today's topic is going to be about how to build your personal brand. So grab your notepad, your pen or pencil, and of course, a drink of your choice, and let's dive right into it. In today's interconnected digital landscape, building a personal brand has become essential for both personal and professional success. What you need to understand is your personal brand is more than just a logo or a tagline. It's the essence of who you are, how you present yourself, how you show up to the world, and of course, what you stand for. In this episode, we are going to explore the steps to build a personal brand that authentically reflects your values, your strength, and of course, aspirations. So point number one, you need to define your purpose and values. Building a personal brand starts with introspection. You need to ask yourself, what do I stand for? What are my core values? What do I believe in or not? What is my unique purpose or mission? Okay? You gotta ask yourself those 4 questions, and that's gonna lead you to define your personal brand foundation. Okay? Point number 2, identify your targeted audience. Understand who you want to connect with, okay? And of course, influence one way or the other. And what I want to really emphasize on here is that in life, you are either influenced or you are the one doing the influencing. You have to choose. Now, quite often, what happens is we are either more influenced than we do the influencing or vice versa. But when you build a personal branding, you tend to put yourself in a position where you have more influence than you have more influence on others than you are being influenced by others, okay? And that's kind of like a good ratio if you ask me. Because when you define your target audience, okay, your demographic, your interests, your pain points, okay, it helps you to tailor your brand messaging and content to resonate, of course, with your audience. Point number 3, craft your unique story. Listen, I've always said this and I will always say this. It's all a matter of narrative. Your personal brand story is what sets you apart from others. Learn to highlight your journey, your experiences, your successes, and of course your challenges. Do not forget that who you are today is also a result of what you've been through, or better yet, what you've had to overcome. And that's something beautiful that I personally believe that when you share with other people, you never know who might be going through the same thing or who might actually relate to you. So in this process of building your own personal brand, sharing your authentic stories that reflect your values, your passion, your expertise, your experience, your pain, and so on, that will evoke emotions and resonate with your audience. And that's something that you really have to tap into or get in the habit of doing. Again, there are different ways of telling a story. And I always say that when you tell your story, do not tell it from the perspective of someone who wants to inspire or aspire to pity. Tell your story from the perspective of somebody who overcame, somebody who had a breakthrough, somebody who made the most out of their situation, someone who didn't just go through what they went through, but who also grew through what they went through. And that's that. Okay? Now, point number 4, develop your brand identity. Listen, you have to create a cohesive brand identity, and that should visually represent your personal brand. And I always say this is something that I've been mentoring someone lately on, is that you have to be mindful of how you show up, okay? Because how you show up says a lot about who you are. Now, I know we all like to say that, at the end of the day, who I am is not necessarily the way I show up or what I wear, whatever, or something. I have a personality, but the truth of the matter is this: no one sees your personality at first. No one sees that. When people look at you, when you step into a certain environment or when you walk into a room, what people see is how you look like, your neatness, what you're wearing, and so on. So there are so many external factors, and I believe that those factors require your attention, because quite often we neglect the external factor to the benefit of the internal one. But what you don't understand is someone needs to approach you in order for them to get to find out what you are about. But the moment you show up, come on, it's the visual. Let's not lie to ourselves. We are visual beings at the end of the day, and we often base our opinion of someone based on what we see at first. That's what they say. You never get a second opportunity to make a first impression. The first impression is quite a determining one. So work on developing your brand identity, especially on the surface as well as on the inside. That leads us into the next point, which is position yourself as an expert. You need to position yourself as a thought leader or an expert in your own niche. Okay, you have to share your knowledge, like I was saying, your insight. You can do it through a blog post, articles, podcasts, videos, public speaking engagement, and so on. Literally, there are a lot of opportunities or a lot of ways and platforms out there to really position yourself as an expert in whatever field it is that you are thriving or inspire or aspiring to thrive in. Okay, it is important for you to consistently provide value to your audience, and that's something that is really important, guys. And you know what, in your everyday life, even in your interaction with other people, if your goal is not to put yourself out there social media wise, to the least, the people who are around you, you have to cater for them and make sure that you are of a value adding factor. At work, for example, let people not only know you for someone who comes to work every day or who shows up early. No, you have to be that person who adds value to everything that he or she does. Learn to be that type of person, learn to be known, because that itself already is a form of personal branding. Next point, network and relationships. Listen, networking is an essential part of building a personal brand. You have to learn to connect with industry peers, influencers. When I say influencers, not necessarily the famous people out there on social media. An influencer could be someone belonging to the same industry or niche as you. And of course, that's somebody who can also turn into a mentor and so on. So again, that's all depending on you and how you choose to approach the person. All right. You can also open yourself up to potential collaborations. They can be online or offline. Again, up to you. But it's important for you to engage in meaningful conversations. Next point, seek feedback. A feedback is often something that you may not like to hear, but that's something that you need to hear. I like to flex on the fact that there is a big difference between what we need to hear versus what we want to hear. What we want to hear are flatteries, sweet melody to our ears, but what we need to hear might not often be pleasant. However, it's good for our own growth. Having a certain feedback, especially when it's constructive, can be invaluable for refining and improving your personal brand. Now, you may seek feedback from a friend, from some known people, or even from your audience if you are out there on social media and all, okay? Next point, stay authentic and consistent. You being you and you being your own weird you in a chic kind of way is what might actually attract people towards you. What you think is weird about you might actually be that one thing that people will relate when it comes to you. So if you're going to be putting yourself out there, for example, on social media and stuff, I would suggest just be you. However, if you're looking to build yourself a personal brand offline, then you might want to pretty much still be you. Okay, I think that's the best way of attracting people towards you, because people will still relate to you no matter what, whether it's online or offline. And being authentic at the end of the day is also a way of showing people how genuine you are. And if you are selling a product or anything, I think being genuine is the best way to keep people on the long run. Quite often when we choose to wear a mask, what happens is we cannot sustain that on the long run. We will eventually fall out of character. But truth be told is that on the long run, if you have to put up a certain image out there, I would suggest you go with the authentic one, because that will be easier to sustain. That's you pretty much. Okay? And that's just that. Next point, evolve and adapt. One thing is certain is that we live in rapidly changing times, and the journey of building a personal brand is always an ongoing process of growth and evolution. So what I would suggest is stay open to learning, okay, and to adapting to changes in your industry, in your environment, in your country, in your region. It depends, but stay open to the changes that are occurring. Building a personal brand is a deliberate and strategic process that requires introspection, authenticity, and consistency. Now, by defining your purpose and crafting your unique story, by establishing a strong online or better yet offline depending on what you are into, and positioning yourself as an expert, you can build a personal brand that will resonate with the people around you, with your audience or with your targeted market. It depends. And that will open doors to new opportunities. Trust me, I've been through that. I know many people who went through that, and you can do it. So embrace your uniqueness, stay true to your values, and let your personal brand shine brightly, especially in this digital world. And that's just that. So I wish you to have a good day or a good night, wherever you are on this beautiful globe. My name is Stephane Dadjo, and I'm your host.